Hi YouTube world, welcome back to my channel. Today is a day that I just thought, you know what, let's apply some makeup, let's talk, let's have a little bit of a therapy session. I don't know about you guys, but for me, makeup is therapy. The process of putting on makeup is very therapeutic and I need some therapy right now. If you didn't watch my video related to kind of packing your travel bag, you probably wouldn't know that I'm actually now, it's not really bi-coastal. It's like, or I guess it is, it's down the coast. So I'm traveling straight down the coast to Florida every now and then to spend some time with my family because my dad is not well and we want to spend time. Time has been taken from us because, as with everyone, the pandemic prevented me from really being able to spend time with my family for almost a year and a half. And that was really tough, especially if you have aging parents and you know very well that time is limited. It becomes particularly like more important or feels much more significant spending time together. And my dad being sick, it's something that caught us all a little bit off kilter, and we are just now kind of unpacking it. But essentially, without getting too much details, he does have cancer and it is quite advanced. And so we're just working through what the options are. And he thankfully has good doctors that I got to meet in person, and I feel much more confident about the process that's about to take place. But it's challenging. It's just challenging as a family to deal with these type of issues. And inevitably, we all have different things that we deal with throughout our lives. It's part of growing up. It's part of life, right? It's just, it's the wrench that life throws at you sometimes, which you wish it really wouldn't, but it does. It does. And so I just have really been trying my hardest to take care of myself and ensure that all my basic needs are met. To take care of my family here in New York, my husband, my little kitty cats who are both elderly and also require a lot of love and attention, and just also protecting my sanity so that I am the healthiest that I can be, so that I can support my family when I am down there. So I'm actually traveling down in a couple of days and staying there for about 11 days, and then traveling back home, probably doing a couple of weeks here and going back and forth. So it's challenging to get back in that mode of traveling for me. Surprisingly though, my first flight coming back home wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I don't know what I thought, but it had been some time since I actually traveled. And I don't know, I think I was expecting like the worst. I think the part that was unnerving is the fact that it wasn't as significant. I know this sounds so crazy. I felt this way when I went to get my my vaccine shot. I went to a really big location, a convention center here in New York, and I don't know what I was expecting, but I was expecting chaos. I was expecting maybe a little bit of community, camaraderie, like standing in line for a while and maybe connecting with people regarding the inconvenience or regarding like the gratitude of having a vaccine and being in line for it. I don't know. There was just something else I was expecting. And I remember when I got to the Jacob Javits Center in New York to get my first vaccine, I was surprised at the efficiency. There were, National Guard folks everywhere. So there were so many points at which you checked in with someone, and it was so organized and it was so quiet. It was like eerily quiet. And I remember going in and sort of like walking slowly because I just couldn't believe how quiet such a large space could be. And there was an overhead announcement about, welcome to the Javits Center, COVID vaccination site, the premier COVID, it was something crazy, but the announcement, the voice sounded like the kind of voice they hire at Disney World if you go to like a theme park and you enter a ride and it's like this really clear, crisp, intense voice. That's what it sounded like. It was really, really interesting. And ooh, this blush is one of my new blushes. It's very toasty. This is one of the bareMinerals Gen Nude Blonzers. It's supposed to be a bronzer blush hybrid, which I just think is complete and utter nonsense. It is like an toasty orangey blush. It's in Kiss of Copper. But I do think on me, the shade does look like I've seen the sun, maybe a little too much. And this is the shade. It's a pretty shade. So yeah, there was just something very surreal about it. It's so quiet. And then when you make it through to the end and you're at your area where you're waiting the 15 minutes to make sure you didn't have any kind of like allergic reaction to the vaccine, the sitting area, in the seating area, which is this huge seating area, they had a harpist and a violinist, and they had like, I think members from the Metropolitan, Opera House or something, which again was beautiful and also really surreal. But I didn't have to wait in line very long. I mean, the lines were long, but they just moved the whole time. It was just about walking, maybe almost like 2-3 football fields worth of walking. But there was never a point at which I stopped and I connected with a fellow New Yorker during this process. And that kind of made me a little sad, actually. One of the joys of living in New York is, or had been really for me, for living in New York these 20 plus years, has been that sense of community you get when you're just going about your day. When you're just going about your day getting coffee or your groceries or commuting, whatever it might be, there are so many points of connection by which you can connect with another person. And although I think there's this perception of New Yorkers are standoffish and we don't, it's not true. I can't tell you how many lovely interactions I've had over the course of my life here that keep me here, versus like I go back to Miami to visit my family, and if, pre-pandemic, if we're running errands, you hop into a car and you get to a destination and then you do whatever you got to do and then you get out and you think that there's more points of interaction, but truly there aren't. The car really keeps you sort of siloed and protected in a cocoon shape. Also, road rage is really a thing where I find there's a lot less kind of rage incidents that occur when you're just traveling on the subway or walking about the city. You can interact very quickly with people. If you accidentally bump into someone, you can profusely say, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to, I saw, and people respond better. I think there's there's a protection behind a car where sometimes, you know, people can get quite crazy about, you know, road rage incidents, and you're not able to communicate as well, like, oh, I'm sorry, you know, I'm sorry for having cut you off. There isn't a lot of that because you're in your car. It's impossible to communicate. Just putting on a little bit of concealer, which normally I don't do, but I don't know. I felt like playing around with, again, products I've been kind of ignoring. This one is the NYX Born to Glow concealer, and I think I like it. I'm trying to cover up my eyeglasses, like the little marks left behind my eyeglasses. Oh, I've been working all day, and I just really needed a break because even work right now is super stressful. So yeah, I think testing the waters again and traveling, I was again surprised at how uneventful it was to travel, like how easy it was. I got through security fine. There was maybe one additional step. Everyone seemed to be wearing their masks for the most part, except when they were eating and drinking. I didn't have any drama. I mean, I like to fly like really early in the morning. I tend to prefer those flights because I find that everything sort of runs more or less on time and people are a little sleepy, and that makes them less, even though it might make them a little irritable sometimes, it makes them less energetic to like have confrontations. Like a confrontation of a sleepy person is like a growl or a grunt, but it's not like a full-on attack. But when you start giving alcohol to people and, you know, they're super like energized by the day, then I think like that's when, you know, lots of aggressive situations may transpire. So I was trying to avoid that as best as possible. And yeah. And it was really an uneventful flight, and I'm really happy for that. And I'm hoping that Friday's flight is just as uneventful. So while I'm in Florida, you know, I want to address like how, you know, to take care of yourself. Because I think we all have different ways by which we do it. But I really do believe in that philosophy of you can't help others until you help yourself. Mask on yourself before you put the mask on others. That idea, that carries into life. If you don't have anything to give, you're not going to be able to give. Or what you give will be given with lots of resentment, or you will give will be piss poor or half-assed, however you want, whatever turn of phrase you want to use. And you know, this is my family. This is my core family. This is my dad. I love my dad. My dad he is such a well-liked, loved person. It's one of those people that I don't know that I've ever encountered someone who just hasn't liked my father. He's just likable. I've always admired that of him. You know, I'm not immediately likable sometimes, you know, or I have to really work at it. I blame my mom because I have turned down lips, and so I have to fight against that like resting face. So I have to actively smile or actively like smirk at least, because if I'm resting, it's like, you know, my mouth downturn. And but my dad just has such an animated face. I'm gonna put up a picture of my daddy right there because he's just so handsome. And he's one of 11 children, so I have a lot of first cousins, and he's sort of like the brother that everyone goes to like confide in. So he's just a very trustworthy person. My dad also really just recently, and it's because of his health, he just retired. He had owned his own business for many, many years, and he just retired right now. And he worked his entire life, you know, and, you know, it wasn't glamorous work. He was in the textiles industry, and, but he loved it. He loved interacting with clients. When I spent a couple of summers helping him out, a week or so there, here and there. It was just amazing to see my father as a person. You know, when you get those opportunities, I hope everyone has by this point in their life, when you get to see your parent, your father, your sibling, your mother, whoever, but you get to see them through the eyes of someone else. It really is just an awesome experience. It really is just truly an awesome experience, because that just adds to the level of appreciation that you should have for the ones that you love. You know, we're not just there for, you know, life is not centered around one individual. It's centered around tribes, you know, entire communities. And we should all be viewed as complex individuals that make a lot of mistakes, put their foot in their mouth all the time. But there has to be some level of forgiveness and love and teaching and reflection. And that is just so important. So very important. And I love that I had that opportunity with my dad to see him the way others see him, to get to hear how others talk to him on the phone, how he talks about others. It really helped me define who I want to be when I work, you know, and in every office environment that I've worked, which have been quite a lot in my life, I've always tried to conduct myself in a way that I would make him proud, where I really try to connect with people. I try to diffuse conflict where I can. I try to like gently coach others or be there for people who really it looks like no one's there for them. I'm always on the lookout for those people. I've always been attracted to those people, even like in friendships. I've always been attracted to sort of like the underdog or the person who requires a little more TLC. I guess that makes me, I don't even know what that makes me, but I feel like I'm a bit of an empath that way, which I know is a very trendy word. I right now just applied a color from the Tiny Marvels palette. I'm playing with it this week, and I hadn't played with it much, and I've been enjoying the looks I've created. I've created a couple. It's such a pretty palette, just a really unexpected color scheme. And so I think I'm just gonna put on a couple more colors from it before I call it a day. So if you're curious, I put on walking stick all throughout my crease, and now I'm putting this burgundy color called Bugaboo. I love Mel Thompson. If you don't watch Mel Thompson, you should be watching Mel Thompson. Mel Thompson is such a beautiful soul, and another person who on the YouTube platform, just by her being herself and also being like such a talented makeup artist, but just being herself, being vulnerable and opening up and sharing about her medical issues or challenges that she's having, that to me convinced me that this platform of YouTube can be healing, and it can be a platform that maybe I wanted to contribute to, and maybe I wanted to be part of, for those same reasons that I highlighted. I like to help people. I like to share with people. I'm a people person, you know, I'm a people person. I really truly love to connect. I love to connect with all people, even people I disagree with. Growing up, I was in speech and debate in high school, and I really loved it until, as with some public high schools, funding was cut and we had to cut the program. So I only did it for 2 years, but some of the basic philosophies that were instilled in me, I still carry to this day, which is listen to other perspectives. Listen to other perspectives, even if you fundamentally disagree. Listen. Listen, because it will help you create an argument to convince potentially, strengthen your own position. And if you don't listen, others are not going to listen to you. It really does reflect back. I don't know if you've ever been around someone who is like a really great listener, and when they open their mouth, everyone shuts up. Everyone just turns. And it's like, oh, you know, like wisdom is going to be spoken. And whether or not wisdom is spoken is a whole other thing, but people like that already get the benefit of the doubt because they're very judicious with their words. And I think that that's important. Sometimes we can have diarrhea of the mouth, as they say, and that's not a way to kind of give others a vote of confidence. So I just put underneath my eye this color here, Love Bug, and now I'm just going to pat with my finger this duochrome shade, which is such lovely goodness. It's the shade Scarab. It is this flippy dippy green burgundy beautiful oil slick shade that I love. It's one of my favorite type of duochrome shades. I have this in several kind of formulas, but Sydney Grace's is really, really beautiful because it just creates like the prettiest smoky effect with such little effort. I love effortless makeup. I really do. I love putting on makeup, and I love putting on every step of makeup for the most part. I'm now just going to put on mascara. Let me do that because I can't do that on camera peacefully, and I will jump back on. I'm back, mascara on. I'm still using the Stila Stay All Day mascara. I'm on the fence about this mascara. It is messy. It is a messy, 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 messy mascara. It has a nice effect, but I don't know. I don't know that the mess is worth it. So I'm just gonna let some of that messiness dry, like right here, and I will kind of nick it off with the spoolie. I'm just right now blending the edges a little bit of that Scarab shade. I didn't do that part, and so the blend is a little off, but I hope you can see like how beautiful that shade is. And this shade is gorgeous. It's gorgeous on any eye color, any eye shape. And again, what I love is it gives you that dark, smoky effect without it being too heavy. Love, love, love the effect. It's so beautiful. And I think that the Scarab shade is one of the shades where it was a repeat shade of something that's already in Sydney Grace's singles formula. So if you're just curious about this one shade in particular, let's say you really can't swing, you know, and I know it sells out all the time, the Tiny Marvels palette, and let's say you can't swing it, I do think you can pick up this shade on its own. So definitely look into that because it is such a gorgeous, gorgeous shade. Really, really beautiful formulation. I'm just going to quickly put on a lippy. I got the shade Femmebot from McGrath in a mini. I don't know if this goes. Oh, that looks nice. Sort of like a peachiness, and it's not that drying because I put the little moisturizing lip balm from McGrath also underneath. And as a topper, I don't normally do this, but again, I'm being super extra today. I'm gonna use the Maybelline Lifter Gloss just because I want shiny lips. Oh, that's pretty. It doesn't change the color too much underneath the color of the lipstick. Pretty, pretty, pretty. I'm gonna spritz my face and call it a day. I'm still getting through my Watermelon Glow Ultra Fine Mist by Glow Recipe. I spray a lot on my face. So yeah, that's all I had to share. It was just some quick thoughts, and I just wanted you guys to, you know, see where my head was at. Also, thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting and chit-chatting with me. That is my favorite thing about this. I love to connect with others. I especially love to connect with others now. Who wants to feel alone in this world when they're going through tough times? I know I certainly don't. And, you know, I suspect that I'm gonna have good days and bad days where I'm feeling, you know, maybe not quite myself, but hopefully, I know I didn't get into like taking care of yourself too much, but hopefully if you have challenging days, taking time for yourself to do something that just lets you check in, maybe taking a bath, or for me, it's taking a swim. That is very meditative, that alone time I get from that. Making a video where I know I can talk about silly things like makeup and beautiful kind of items and just chit chat and not feel the pressure of having to talk about serious things. Unless, of course, I want to. I feel like sharing, then that's also a beautiful thing. And also letting others help you. That one is really hard for me. I am somebody who, even in my own life, I don't like to drain my friendships and put a lot on their shoulders or have people worry about me. So I tend to hold back. And I'm learning now, maybe it's turning 40, and that milestone that made me realize, you know, you should let people in. It's okay. It's okay. Don't have too much expectations of others, because that's where you get hurt. But it's okay to invite others in. And sometimes people surprise you. That friend that you think, oh, you know, we're a casual friend, could end up becoming like your best friend during tough times. There's always room for surprise when it comes to people if you just kind of keep an open mind and hold expectations at bay. I've learned that that's like a life lesson that I wish I could crawl back in time and tell my, you know, 14-year-old self, hey, approach people this way. So yeah, that's just sort of my reflections. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope that everyone's life is just getting a tad bit easier and that we see each other soon. Okay, take care, everyone. Bye.